Did you know you can have a solid budget and still end up in debt? Or that treating yourself to a little something today could be mortgaging your future? In this second part of the series, 7 financial mistakes that are sabotaging your future, we're going to uncover 2 mistakes that many people make without even realizing it. Mistakes that can undo years of hard work in an instant. We'll be talking about not having an emergency fund, that financial cushion that could save you when life gets tough, and about living beyond your means, one of the most common habits out there and one of the most dangerous. If you've ever been blindsided by an unexpected expense, or you feel like you're spending more than you should, this video might give you that mental click you need to change your financial story. Stay until the end, because on top of real-life examples and practical advice, I'm going to share how I started my emergency fund from scratch, and how you can do it too, even if right now it feels like there's nothing left over. Leave a comment below. Do you have an emergency fund? Do you feel like you're living beyond your means? Give this a like if you've ever been through that, and subscribe if you want this series to help you build a more stable, free, and purposeful financial life. Mistake number 3. Not having an emergency fund. Life is full of surprises. Some of them are great, and some of them not so much. One of the most serious financial mistakes you can make is not being prepared for those unexpected moments. If you don't have an emergency fund, it's like walking a tightrope without a safety net. One wrong step and you fall straight into a financial hole. Think about it. Your car breaks down out of nowhere and the repair bill is steep. Or you face an unexpected medical emergency. Maybe there's an urgent home repair, the refrigerator dies, a pipe bursts. And it could even be the unthinkable, losing your job from one day to the next. These are situations nobody welcomes, but they happen. And when they do, if you don't have savings set aside to cover them, you end up turning to a credit card, taking out a loan, or borrowing money. In short, you go into debt, and your financial future takes a serious hit. I'll be honest with you. For a long time, I had no emergency fund. I lived with the hope that nothing bad will happen. But one day it did. I had an unexpected health issue and the medical bills piled up fast. I didn't have enough savings, so I had to put it all on the credit card. The result? Months of paying interest on that debt, which set me back on every other goal I had. I couldn't save because most of my paycheck was going toward paying off that balance. It was a painful lesson. From that point on, I made myself a promise. I will never be in that situation again. So, what exactly is an emergency fund? It's savings set aside exclusively for real emergencies. Not for vacations, and not for a new TV. That's what other savings or your regular budget are for. An emergency fund is your personal safety net for unexpected, urgent events that could impact your life or your ability to earn income. Think of it as your own self-funded insurance policy for peace of mind. How much should you have saved? The classic recommendation from financial experts is between 3 to 6 months of your basic monthly expenses. Some suggest 8 to 12 months for extra security, especially if you have dependents or variable income. For example, if your essential expenses, housing, food, utilities, transportation, total $1,000 a month, your goal would be between $3,000 and $6,000 in that fund, accessible at any time. I know that might sound like a lot, but don't let it discourage you. You don't have to build it overnight. It grows little by little through consistent contributions. Where should you keep this money? Somewhere safe and liquid. Safe, meaning it's not at risk. You wouldn't invest it in the stock market because it could drop right when you need it most. Liquid, meaning you can access it quickly. A separate savings account or a money market account works well. The key word is separate. Keep it apart from your checking account so you're not tempted to spend it. You could even name that account emergency fund in your online banking. Psychologically, that label reminds you this money has one specific, non-negotiable purpose. How do I get started if my paycheck barely covers everything? Make saving a fixed line item in your budget. See how these mistakes connect? Even if it's just $20, $50, or $100 a month, set something aside every time you receive income and transfer it directly to that account. Automate the transfer for payday so it moves before you even see it. If you receive extra money, a bonus, a gift, or cash from selling something, put a portion into the fund. A tax refund or year-end bonus is a perfect opportunity to give that cushion a real boost. Now picture this. Imagine your emergency fund is fully built up. One day, your old car just won't start. Sure, it's frustrating, but you don't panic. You know you have the money to cover the repair, or even buy a used replacement, without going into debt. You handle it and move on. Or a difficult medical situation comes up. Emotionally stressful, yes, but money won't be one more thing weighing on you, because you have a backup. That kind of security is priceless. That is pure peace of mind. Saving for emergencies is giving your future self the gift of calm. Emergencies don't give you advance notice, but you can still be ready for them. Get your family involved too. If you have a partner, talk together about why this fund matters. Being on the same page prevents the temptation to dip into it for other things. If you have older kids, explain why you set that money aside. You'll be teaching them one of the most valuable financial lessons they'll ever learn. Practical tip: set an initial goal of saving at least $500 to $1,000 as quickly as possible as your starter fund. That's an achievable short-term target. Sell things you no longer use, temporarily cut back on small daily expenses, or pick up a side gig on weekends. It's amazing how having those first $500 saved makes you feel genuinely protected. Then keep going until you reach the 3 to 6 month target. Do you currently have an emergency fund? If yes, congratulations, you're already one step ahead. Share in the comments how you built it or how much you recommend having. If the answer is no, don't stress. The important thing is to start. Right below, I'm going to start my emergency fund as a personal commitment. We're all going to support each other here. And if this section made you stop and think, share this video with someone who doesn't yet have emergency savings. It could save them from a really rough situation down the road. Having an emergency fund is essential so that one unexpected event doesn't derail all your progress. Now let's talk about another very common mistake, almost a lifestyle that many people are living without even realizing it, one that can stall your financial future for years. Mistake number 4, living beyond your means. This is an extremely common and extremely dangerous mistake. Living beyond your means. In plain terms, it means spending more than you earn, either by draining your savings or, worse, going into debt to maintain a lifestyle your income simply doesn't support. We live in a society that constantly pushes us to consume and project an image. The pressure of social media, where everyone is showing their highlight reel, the dream vacation, the new car, the latest iPhone, the trendy restaurant, makes us feel like we need to keep up, even when we can't afford it. It's easy to fall into the trap of, live it up today, we'll figure out tomorrow. But when tomorrow comes and the credit card statement is packed with charges you can't cover, that living it up turns into a massive headache fast. Let's look at some concrete and painfully relatable examples. The financed luxury car. Imagine Yordi, who earns a decent income but has his eye on a high-end car that's clearly out of his budget. He tells himself, I deserve it, that's what I work for, and signs a 5-year loan. Every month, the car payment swallows roughly 40% of his income, leaving him stretched thin for everything else. And in a few years, the car will have lost most of its value, but Yordi will still be paying off the loan. The result? Years of debt for an asset that depreciates by the day. Vacation on a credit card. Our friend Alandi dreams of a beach getaway. She doesn't have enough savings, but there's available credit on the card. She charges the whole trip to plastic and has an incredible week, until she gets home and reality hits. She owes $1,000, and if she only pays the minimum each month, that vacation will cost double or triple in interest and take years to clear. Was 1 week of fun really worth it? Impulse buys and brand names. Sometimes it's not one big expense, it's the overall lifestyle. Always buying expensive name brand clothing when more affordable options exist. Upgrading your phone every year even though the one you have works perfectly, just to have the newest model. Going out to eat 3 times a week when you could cook at home most nights. These habits feel great in the moment but quietly drain your bank account month after month. What drives this mistake? A lot of the time it's emotional. I deserve it. Life is short, you have to enjoy it. And honestly, those things are true. Life isn't all about hoarding every penny. But there's a real difference between enjoying life sustainably and mortgaging your future to keep up appearances. There's also social pressure. Maybe your friends make expensive plans and you feel like you have to keep up. Or you want to give your kids everything they ask for, even if that means going into debt. Or maybe no one ever taught you it was okay to say, "I can't afford that right now." A phrase to remember: buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't even know is the recipe for financial ruin. How do you avoid this mistake? With honesty and a real shift in habits. Here are the key strategies. Accept your financial reality. Be brave enough to look clearly at how much you earn and where you actually stand. Stop comparing yourself to your neighbor or that influencer on Instagram. Everyone's circumstances are different. Maybe right now you can't afford certain luxuries, and that's completely okay. You are not worth less because you don't drive the newest car or fly business class. Your value is not defined by what you own. Say it out loud. My worth is not defined by what I possess. Align your lifestyle with your income. This sounds obvious, but we ignore it all the time. If your basic expenses are already consuming 80% of your income, spending another 30% on extras is mathematically unsustainable. That's 110% of your paycheck, which means debt. Look honestly for places to cut back. Maybe moving somewhere with lower rent, selling the expensive car for something more practical, reducing how often you order delivery. It's not about depriving yourself of everything. It's about being realistic with where you are right now. Practice delayed gratification. When you want something expensive, don't buy it immediately. Give yourself a few weeks or months to save up for it. Most of the time, once the initial impulse fades, you realize you didn't actually need it, or you find a better alternative. And if after some time you still really want it and you've saved the money, then buy it without debt, with the satisfaction of knowing you earned it the right way. Avoid consumer debt as a way of life. Credit cards, installment plans, easy monthly payments. It all sounds tempting because it makes unaffordable things feel accessible. If you're already caught in that cycle, work on getting out as soon as possible. Write down your current debts, prioritize paying off the highest interest ones first, and commit to not adding any new ones. Every time you're tempted to finance something, remember how exhausting it is to carry that weight every single month. Have clear goals. When you know exactly where you're headed, I want to buy a house in 5 years, or I want to be financially independent by 50, it becomes much easier to say no to unnecessary spending today. Because you have a powerful why. Write your goals down and put them somewhere visible. That way, when you're about to hit buy now on a luxury item, you'll look at your goals and think, I'd rather have that future than this impulse purchase. Practical exercise. Make an honest list of the luxuries or non-essential expenses in your life right now. Could you cut back on any of them without seriously hurting your quality of life? Maybe downgrading from an expensive gym to a more affordable one, canceling subscriptions you barely use, or switching to a lower phone plan. It's not about suffering. It's about aligning your spending with what you truly value. And chances are, you value financial peace far more than impressing someone for 5 minutes. Here's something important I want you to hold on to. There is nothing wrong with wanting nice things or meaningful experiences. We all want to grow and treat ourselves. The problem is doing it before we can actually afford it. If we stay focused on improving our financial situation, we'll eventually enjoy those things in a sustainable, guilt-free way. But it takes patience and consistency. Financial freedom tomorrow is worth far more than any luxury today. Real peace of mind comes from living within your means and scaling your lifestyle as your income grows, not before. If you think this could help someone you know, we all have that friend or family member who's always in the red from keeping up appearances. Share this video. A well-timed financial wake-up call can prevent much bigger problems later on. Having an emergency fund and living within your means is the bare minimum you can do to protect your finances and your family. Today we took steps that can make the real difference between staying afloat or going under when things get hard. Right below, I'm going to start my emergency fund as your personal commitment. Like this video if it made you stop and reflect, and subscribe so you don't miss the next parts. Because now we're going to talk about a more subtle mistake, one made by people who do manage to save, but never take the next step, and quietly let their money lose value over time. See you in part 3, where we'll cover smart investing and the key decisions that will shape your financial future.